Good morning, students. This is Anshu Sharma from Government College Chaksu, and once again we meet for the second year syllabus that we are doing, and specifically Thomas Gray's Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard. Now, yesterday I had left you at the point where we were discussing about the poet and how the poet imagines that sometime in the future there would be another gentleman who would be of a similar disposition, just like Gray, and who would inquire about the poet. And he had given a brief description of how he thinks or he imagines that a grey headed shepherd or a farmer or a countryman would describe Gray's daily routine. So, I had done till here uh, the second paragraph, the last line, pour upon the brook that babbles by. Here, I would also like to share, like, for example, in the previous line, there is a play upon the word L. Similarly, here, I had forgotten to tell you that here, in the last line of the second passage, there is a play upon the word B. Pour upon the brook that babbles by, B, B, B. So, again, that rhyme is there. Brook that babbles by. So, it's like alliteration. Okay. Now, the next three passages, I'll just quickly read them. Hard by yon wood, now smiling as in scorn, muttering his wayward fancies he would rove, now drooping woeful wan like one forlorn, or crazed with care, or crossed in hopeless love. One morn I missed him on the customed hill, along the heath and near his favourite tree. Another came, nor yet beside the rill, nor up the lawn, nor at the wood was he. The next with dirges due in sad array, slow through the churchway path we saw him borne. Approach and read, for thou canst read the lay graved on the stone beneath yon aged thorn. So, here again you can see all the three passages are within inverted commas, which indicates that these are the words which were spoken by the shepherd to the gentleman who had come inquiring about Thomas Gray. Now, hard by yon wood. The word meanings have been written, but just let me quickly tell you the difference between the word yon and yonder. Yon means that. Okay, specifically it means that, indicating something, whereas yonder means distance, a little away. It is reference to distance. So this is the difference between these two words. So hard by yon wood, that is hard by yon wood, that wood, nearby that wood, now smiling as in scorn, muttering his wayward fancies he would rove. So now this is the description that is being given by the old shepherd to the gentleman, and he says that usually he was seen near the wood. Wood means the forest. So he would be seen, and sometimes he would be smiling, and sometimes that smile would be scornful, and he would be roaming around in the jungle, he would be roaming around that forest, and he would be muttering his wayward fancies he would rove. So muttering his wayward fancies, now that was whatever thoughts he had. Now generally people who are poets or writers are considered to be quirky, they are slightly the normal people feel that they are a little different, so because they are lost in their own thoughts, and sometimes when they're lost in their own thoughts they talk to themselves. So this person says that he would be talking to himself, he would be muttering something, speaking under the breath, and he would be talking to himself, and maybe he would be lost in his own peculiar typical thoughts, and he would be wandering around in the forest near the woods. He would be wandering around, now drooping woeful van. Again there's a play on the words W, woeful van. Both the words indicate sadness, both the words indicate a pale demeanor, and that can be due to grief, that can be due to kind of some sad thoughts. So his physical appearance is being described here, and the farmer would say that sometimes he would be kind of, his shoulders would be hanging, and his face, his head would be hanging low, and his look was that of a sad, lonely person, now drooping, woeful van, like one forlorn. Forlorn means to be sad, somebody who's not taken care of, somebody who's unhappy or lonely. So the farmer would say that he would be roaming around all alone, and there was a kind of sad air about him, and he would be talking to himself, or crazed with care, or crossed in hopeless love. Now this is like kind of जिसको हिंदी में कहते हैं अटकल लगाना. तो that shepherd, would be kind of thinking, wondering, and presuming that perhaps the poet was crazed. Thomas Gray was, perhaps he was worried due to some problem, certain issues. He was anxious, he was filled with anxiety, and he would be talking to himself. Or it seemed that maybe he was in, he was heartbroken, maybe he was in love with somebody, and the love was not reciprocated, or there was some unhappy ending to his love story. Maybe that was the reason that he seemed to be sad, he seemed to be contemplative. And this is the kind of description that the farmer would give to the gentleman. So then he moves on, and in the next paragraph you can see, one morn I missed him on the customed hill. Customed means accustomed. Customed is where it was customary for him to be moving about or walking about, his usual hill, the usual highland where he would be moving about, taking his usual walk. So he says that one morning I missed him. I missed him. I could not spot him. Every day it was a regular routine. He would be waking up early in the morning, and before the sun rose, he would, walk in the dawn, during the dawn, and he would go and greet the sun, and he would be walking very fast, and it was his usual routine. But one morning, he was not found. He was not to be seen anywhere, and along the heath and near his favorite tree, that beech tree. So he says that along that land, along that heath is a flat land which is covered with small shrubs, small plants, that is known as a heath. So along his favorite tree, along the favorite path, nowhere was the poet to be seen. Then he says another came. Now what another came? Another came is reference to another day. One day he was missed, he was not seen. The second day came. Again, the second day he was missed, he was not to be seen anywhere, nor yet beside the rill. That rill is reference to the stream, that babbling brook. That was another favorite spot of Thomas Gray. So the shepherd says that one more day passed, but again, neither was he next to his favorite tree, neither was he next to the stream, the babbling brook, nor up the lawn, nor at the wood was he. And he says, neither on the highland, neither in the meadows, he was not to be found there, and neither was he there in the woods. So, neither under the tree, nor near the brook, nowhere was he to be seen. None of his favorite spots he was to be found, and a couple of days passed, and the poet was not spotted anywhere. Then the story goes on. What happens in the third paragraph? Now you see that this is the again a sad turning to the events, and the poet is kind of imagining that the way the villagers also, ultimately meet with their fate, ultimately they meet with death. Similarly, now the poet is imagining that the news of his death also would be told by the farmer, the shepherd. So he says, the next with dirges due in sad array. Now he's referring to the funeral song. Dirges means funeral song. He says on the third day, or maybe the fourth day, it was found, the funeral song was heard, and a long procession when the coffin is taken to the church to be buried, there that description is being given in this passage. And he says that next day we came to know that the poet was no longer alive. Slow through the churchway path we saw him borne. Saw him borne. Who's this him? This is reference to the poet Thomas Gray himself. So he says, very slowly through the long church path, through the pathway, we saw him being carried. Borne, that is his coffin being carried. And approach and read, for thou canst read. Now this is what the shepherd is telling to the gentleman. He says, you come and read. Approach and read. Please come nearer. Please come a little closer and read. Now this has been written in the brackets. Again, please note, specifically this is being highlighted for you can read, because the gentleman who has come inquiring about Thomas Gray, that gentleman is a well-read person, just as Thomas Gray was a well-read person, and he could read what has been written on the gravestone. So the shepherd would say that, please you come and read the lay. Lay is again reference to the song or the verse or the poem that is engraved on the tombstone. Graved on the stone beneath yon aged thorn. Graved is again short form of engraved or inscribed or carved on the stone beneath yon. The stone is reference to the tombstone. Beneath yon aged thorn. Yon is again that. Yon means that. So he says, please come nearer to the tombstone, because you can read very easily. You can see what song or what poem has been inscribed on the tombstone, which lies under the aged thorn. Aged thorn, maybe the poet has been buried under his favorite tree, because it is quite possible that because that beech tree was his favorite, where he would be lying down, maybe the people decide to bury him there, because after all it was a plain land. It was not occupied by anybody. There were no houses. It was a flat land, and it was a green meadow, and it was the favorite tree of the poet, where he used to spend maximum time. So maybe it was decided to bury him there. So this is what the shepherd is referring to, and this is how we come to know that the poet has met with his fate. He is no longer alive, and he lies buried there. So in a way you can say the story comes full circle, or you can say the way the poet has imagined, the way the poet is kind of remembering the villagers who are no longer alive, the same kind of expectation the poet also has, or you can say he imagines that in the future he would be remembered by the shepherd, and he would be remembered by someone who would be something similar to Gray himself, and who would inquire about Gray's death, who would inquire about Gray's tombstone. And this is again a reflection of the same thoughts, the same feeling that the departing soul always expects or needs some pious tears after he has left this world. So this is the main poem. This is the main stanzas of the poem, which come to an end here. After this, there are 3 more paragraphs that we have to do, because that is the epitaph. Epitaph is, which I have already explained to you. I am repeating it here again. Epitaph is the verse that is written on the tombstone. So Gray has an epitaph which has been engraved on his tombstone, and that is the end of the poem. So I shall be doing that tomorrow. Till then, please revise the main poem. Please revise what I have shared with you, and I hope things are clear. You can go through it, and if there are any questions, you can ask me on my WhatsApp number. And the epitaph I shall be doing with you tomorrow. Till then, have a safe time, stay safe, stay at home. See you again soon. Bye bye.